this video is sponsored by NordVPN, and with my discount code CHANNELPUP and the link in the description below, you can get 4 months free with a 3-year subscription. And just a reminder, this video is not made for kids.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not what you'd call a die-hard Star Wars fan, rather an extreme casual fan. I enjoy the movies, or more accurately, enjoyed the movies. I pick up the odd bit of merchandise, but that's as far as I go. However, something I feel very strongly about is the new Star Wars trilogy. But first, let's briefly touch on my history with the galaxy far, far away. I love the original trilogy. It perfectly develops its characters and story to deliver a truly satisfying conclusion. My relationship with the prequel trilogy has always been funny. I used to really like it, but like many others, I began looking at it more critically and said, yeah, that wasn't as good as I thought it was.
I don't like sand. It's coarse, rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
However, ever since the release of The Last Jedi in particular, I've gained a lot more respect for those movies and the ideas presented within them. Then we come to Force Awakens. Now, I'll be honest, when I first saw episode 7, I really enjoyed it. I thought it laid some good foundations for a new trilogy to build off of. I mean, looking back on it, I can certainly see its flaws. For example, how did Rey, an inexperienced nobody, take on a fully trained Sith Lord and a descendant of Darth Vader at that with no prior training whatsoever? Anyway, that aside, let's talk about Rogue One. Now, I know a lot of people like Rogue One, and I can understand why. I mean, that Darth Vader scene where he's just cutting through the rebellion is one of my favourite scenes in any Star Wars movie. But the rest of the film I just found to be incredibly boring, so much so in fact, that I can't remember what happened in that film for the most part. Aside from CGI Leia acquiring the Death Star plans, which I knew must have happened anyway in order for A New Hope to take place. But then we come to what is, in my opinion, the worst Star Wars movie of all time, The Last Jedi. Now, when I first saw Last Jedi, my reaction was a resounding I didn't think it was as good as Force Awakens, but I didn't think it was the worst movie ever either. However, like a bitter old married couple, we began to hate each other more and more. And I think the moment I realised that I really didn't like this movie was on my second viewing. When I realised, damn, they just threw away every bit of story potential Force Awakens had. Who were Rey's parents? Doesn't matter, they're nobody. What were those visions Rey saw when she touched Luke's lightsaber? Don't take that out of context. We don't know, because they were never explained. And as for Solo, I couldn't be bothered to go see it. And if you look at the box office for Solo, I don't think I was alone in that. Now you might be saying, well duh, they're going to explain all the plot holes, artistic decisions, in episode 9. Which, yeah, they could, but here's the thing about that. Judging by the trailers we've had for episode 9, J.J. Abrams seems to be retconning the changes Rian Johnson made, with Kylo Ren rebuilding his lightsaber and Luke Skywalker's lightsaber not even having a scratch on it, despite being torn apart by the Force in the last movie. This is one of the main reasons why I believe the new trilogy failed. It fails because the people behind it clearly didn't have a plan going into it. I mean, JJ left us all with a bunch of questions at the end of Force Awakens that had no definitive answers, only for Rian Johnson to come in and give us the worst possible answers to those questions. And when you have to retcon the events of previous movies in a trilogy so that the story makes sense, you have, in my opinion, failed to create a cohesive trilogy, which is what I think Disney wanted when they acquired all things Star Wars. Another thing I hate about the new trilogy is its reliance on the iconography from the previous movies, while insisting it's new and different. It kinda reminds me of the Disney remakes in a way, where they bank on nostalgic moments from the originals, while simultaneously trying desperately to find their own identity. I think a good example of this can be found within the most recent trailer for Episode 9, shown at D23, where the first minute of the 2-minute trailer consists entirely of archive footage, in order to make the audience feel all warm and fuzzy and give the illusion what they showed was really good, when in reality they were just banking on the audience's attachment to the original trilogy, and to a lesser extent, the prequel trilogy. Another example would be Lando Calrissian and Palpatine returning for Episode 9, two characters that were well past their sell-by date at this point, yet they're being dragged into the new trilogy in order to create this false sense of hype. It is my belief that when Disney bought the Star Wars franchise as well as the entirety of Lucasfilm back in 2012, they were planning to replicate the success of the MCU by creating a Star Wars cinematic universe of sorts, with 2 to 3 movies releasing per year, one of which would be the new installment in a new trilogy, and the other 2 being spin-offs revolving around either legacy characters, like Solo, or a new set of characters, like Rogue One. The key issue I have with this, though, is that Star Wars was never meant to be a huge universe. Instead, the Star Wars franchise revolved around a specific set of characters, meaning that by trying to make Star Wars this large, expansive universe, you make every character we ever cared about and every event that ever happened feel really insignificant and small. In contrast, however, the Marvel brand never really relied solely on a specific set of characters, because in the comic book industry, you constantly have to come up with new characters in order to keep readers interested, therefore making Marvel much better suited to a cinematic universe format with hundreds of characters as opposed to Star Wars, which is why Marvel has been able to make movies for the past decade without audience growing tired of it, whereas less than 4 years into Disney's reign on Star Wars, people have stopped caring about the brand. In conclusion, I believe the new trilogy failed because they had no clear direction or plan for the story of these movies, retconning elements later when people realised they didn't work, relying too heavily on nostalgic elements while simultaneously damaging the characters of those nostalgic originals, and trying hard to create a Marvel-style shared universe that did nothing but dilute the Star Wars brand and cause Star Wars fatigue. Honestly, I've given up on Star Wars. I will watch Episode 9 so I can talk about it on this channel, but after that, I just don't care anymore, honestly. Last Jedi was the final nail in the coffin for me, in terms of my interest in Star Wars, so no. At least for myself, there's no hope. And I mean, it's possible that Episode 9 could be really good, however, even if that does happen, we would still have an incredibly wonky trilogy of films, and spin-offs that even most die-hard fans don't care about. The only place my passion for Star Wars really survives is in the fan films, in particular the Vader fan film created by Star Wars Theory. And you know what? I'm fine with that, as I'll always have the original trilogy of films to admire and appreciate. Okay everyone, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below what you think about Disney Star Wars, whether you really enjoy it like I did originally, or whether you realise that they've milked this for pretty much all it's worth and it's just ended up in a brand that I don't care about anymore. So with that said everybody, thank you for watching. Now please stay tuned for some exciting offers and promotions.
This video is brought to you by Zentai for all your cosplay needs. Link is in the description below and they are very cool and good. Cosplay your favorite characters or send in one of your own designs. Affordable prices and very high quality. Made to order and made to measure. But most of all, made to be heckin' awesome, if you couldn't already tell.